Today I'm going to show you how to make a polenta cake. Now the good thing about a polenta cake is that it's gluten-free. Often if you've got somebody who has a problem with gluten or is celiac or just has an intolerance to wheat, for example, it can be quite frustrating when you go to a cafe and there's no choice for them at all, and all they can have is maybe just a cup of tea or a coffee and maybe a bag of crisps. So this is a recipe that you can produce quite easily at home, and it's a very tasty recipe as well. Now we're using several ingredients for this. We're using 200 grams of polenta. This is Merchant Gourmet polenta, and we're using some golden caster sugar. We're using some yoghurt. We're using some Stork Perfect for cakes instead of butter. You can of course use butter if you wish, but I like Stork. Plums, which I've already stoned. There's 4 golden plums there. And orange. A little bit of baking powder and 3 eggs, but we might only need to use 2 of them. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to weigh out 175 grams of golden caster sugar. Now I like to use a bit less sugar and fat in my cake recipes. I like something a little bit healthier. I find it does quite well on about roughly 2/3 the quantity of flour. So put that into a bowl. Then we add 125 grams of the baking margarine. That's about right. That's that. And then we're going to cream the margarine or butter with the golden caster sugar until it's well blended and pale and fluffy like this. So I'm going to weigh out the polenta. We want about 200 grams of this. And we're going to crack an egg into the bowl and give it a bit of a mix. We do this one at a time. So give it a good stir, and then you add some of the polenta. And you keep doing this until everything's been blended in. I think 2 eggs is enough, we'll see, because these are large eggs. I don't want it too runny. That should be enough actually, for now. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add some ground almonds as well. Now, if for example you've got an allergy to nuts, you could use rice flour. We want about 50 grams of ground almonds. And we'll add that and give it another mix. At this stage we'll see how it is. I think I will add the 3rd egg, because I like a fairly loose mixture. It's just a matter of preference really. That's how it should be, that's perfect. See how it just holds on the spoon and just gradually drops. That's a really good dropping consistency for this kind of cake. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some yoghurt. I'm going to add about 50 grams of yoghurt. That's almost bang on. That. And give it a good stir. I'm going to use about half a teaspoon of salt. So we add a teaspoon of baking powder as well. That helps to give it a bit more rise. I'll mix that in. Zest of an orange, so it should look like this, and we're going to stir that in, stir it in well, and then we're going to have the juice of about half an orange, and just squeeze the juice in, nice and orangey. That should be about enough. Don't throw your orange away, there's still plenty of juice in that, there's still plenty of juice. And you can always eat the flesh or add it to a nice salad. And we're going to cut a slice from the orange as well. This is for the decoration in the middle of the cake. Using that. Everything's now incorporated, so we're going to tip it into a greased and lined cake tin. This cake tin is about 8 inches across. We're going to spread the mixture over evenly. It looks shallow now, but it will rise. Don't worry if it looks like you haven't got enough mixture, because you will have. This cake is brilliant, either with a cup of tea or as a dessert. Now we're going to decorate it with the fruit before we pop it into the oven. The oven is preheated at 170 Celsius gas mark 4. So we'll put the piece of orange in the middle. And then I'm going to slice up the plums, and put them around the edge. They just sit nicely inside. So now this is how the cake looks before it goes in the oven. So now we're going to bake that in the oven for about an hour and a quarter at 170. And now I can go away and make a cup of tea. This has had a little bit less than an hour and 15 because my oven's very hot. And you see that the skewer has come out clean. So that's ready now. So we're going to leave it for a few minutes in the tin, and then we're going to turn it out onto a rack to cool, and then we'll serve it. So this is cooler now, so we're going to lift it off the base very carefully. If it sticks, just run a knife around the edges, and then we're going to slide it very gently off the grease stick onto a cooling rack to cool completely. However, at this point it's warm. You could slice it, you could transfer it to a plate and slice it and serve it warm with cream. I'm now going to move the cake onto a plate. To finish it off, I'm going to sprinkle it with a bit of icing sugar. I'm using a tea strainer, but you can use a sieve, or if you've got one of those shaker cups, you can use that. There we have it, my delicious polenta cake.